Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Jenny from the Chopping Block. We have a beautiful Friday night with Neil and Lisa, and I wanted to highlight this couple because it's a couple that I look up to, and part of this process for me was just to really look into the community and see the couples that inspire me, and I know that will also inspire you. And Lisa and Neil, I just wanted to say, one of the things I admire most about them is just like their ambition and how they're both like Lisa's such a goddess and Neil's such a king, and like how they come together. I'm still curious about, and that's part of the reason why I want to ask you guys some questions on how that manifested, how that works. And Lisa, I know you mentioned to me that you read and recommended me the book Calling in the One.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to share that actually this weekend with my women's group. Can you explain to me a little bit about like how you guys came together and like, how, part of the ambitious side of like, you have your own business and you're super ambitious and do a lot of things, and Neil's a rock star. Like, how does that all work? And like, that's obviously something we all aspire to be and have.
Sure. So to go back to the book for the second, the most important thing that book taught me was that you don't just, and I think I said this to you the last time we talked about it, but you don't just go to who is this man that I want? Who is this, or whoever you want your partner to be, who is this person that I want? And like make this list. But it taught me that I needed to be, who do I need to be in a relationship? So like, if I met this person who's amazing and I wasn't the person who I wanted to be in a relationship, it wouldn't work. And also, what's the relationship going to be like? Because you can meet a great person. This has happened to me before, like beautiful humans who weren't ready for the kind of relationship that I wanted. So that's one thing that book really illuminated me. So I met Neil in Miami, Florida at, there's this man named Tony Robbins.
Miami was the best event. I'm sorry.
It was.
It really was.
We were unleashing our power within, and I really like to use it as like a verb. I was unleashing my power within, and it was 6 a.m. and I was going to go to Starbucks for my friend and I. We were staying in the same condo, and I got in the elevator, and this is so funny because I think Neil is very noticeable as a human, but I didn't remember what he looked like. I remembered like what he felt like, and we were walking down the street and it was like this thing. And we were walking to the Starbucks and I saw he had the bracelet on from the event and he was like, pass me, it's real early in the morning. So I was like, hi. Because I was in event mode where you talk to people. And we talked in the Starbucks and it was super fun. And I remember like feeling like he was really kind and I enjoyed talking to him a bunch. And then he was walking to the event, and I remember being like, I want to go with him, but I couldn't. My friends were there. And then later, I was in the Facebook group, and Neil loves social media. So I don't know if anybody noticed that.
He's building his brand.
No, it's great. So I saw that he posted something, and because of the beard, like I knew who it was. And I sent him a message, and I remember he wrote back. I looked at it recently. He said, hey, you found me.
That's amazing.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I saw you in the group. And we started talking, and then we never actually saw each other again at the event. But we were following each other on social media. And to this time of year, the first time I thought he might be interested is I posted a picture of me in a Mrs. Claus dress because I'm also a performer. And he posted a picture of a heart, and I was like,
That's awesome. And now you guys are posting pictures in the greatest city in the world during Christmas.
Here we are.
So, I think I've become very focused on that the thing is not really the thing sometimes. And I think to your point about the book, The Calling in the One, right? When I've been coaching men and running these men's groups and doing all these cool masculinity things, something comes up for me in that there's something innate to what happens to when a woman kind of puts it out there for the man to pick it up, right? And I think there is something magical there that when I've spoken to men that are in crisis or in relationships they're unhappy with, many times I've asked, how did the relationship first start? And they would say, I saw a woman and I pursued her. And it's interesting because I think that below the surface layer of that, in my relationship with Lisa, it's like she put it out there, and I answered she put a call out, and I answered the call, and it was up to me to pursue, and it was up for me to make that happen afterwards. And there's something very magical that happens there in that it is a welcome feeling for us to start a relationship, and we started off on the right foot.
So I put it out there twice, once at the Starbucks, once on Facebook, but then after that, he took over.
Right.
So would you say like being open, or like you actually like flirt?
I think honestly, I wasn't in a space for that when it was happening. And I just was genuinely like, I think when you're at an event, it just feels open. And I saw the bracelet and I'm an extrovert, and I got so excited, and I was like, oh, we're going to the same thing, you know? And then I saw him posting, but I wasn't immediately like, oh, you know, like not even like I hadn't even processed that possibility because we were like so in the event mode. Mm-hmm. So it was just like, oh, this is a human I find interesting. But every time after I talked to him, I would be like, and at the event, he was sitting, you know, like fancy seats, and I was really right above him. And
did you see him?
I would watch him all day.
No way.
And I was like, where's the guy with the beard? But I remembered the Nikes, because I literally was sitting like, you know, you just notice someone, and I was sitting like directly, probably like 50 feet behind him, but like up.
That's amazing. All right. So this just seems like a magnet.
Yeah.
So Neal, we talked a little bit earlier about how, you know, we spoke about the love languages. Hey guys, I just see everybody here. I just made it public so I could see everybody's coming in and watching. I appreciate you guys. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. I love you all so much.
The couple that met through UPW.
Wait, Lisa, what do we have to do when we sip our wine? Elbows up?
Up.
Oh, hey.
Neal's number one surprise about me is he's like, you're so weird. Which I think is like the antidote to like the hot girl thing.
Oh, hey.
Just be a little weird.
Beautiful. So anyway. Neal, we were talking about, I remember seeing his comments. Okay, cool. Oh, sorry, I get really distracted. So we were talking about the love languages earlier, and you know, I saw your post and I was like, wow, you know, it really hit kind of deep with me, because it's like, you know, you take this love language quiz and it's big in our community, and then you think about like, all right, well, is that like you said, is that what we were missing most as like a child, and is that why we crave that style of like how we feel loved? Can you just talk a little bit on that, about like what you feel, like you said to me earlier, like, is that holding us back in a way, or how do you feel about that?
I don't know if it's necessarily, it's just a great question. I don't know if it's necessarily holding us back, but I remember years ago, it must have been like 10, 11, 12 years ago, the first time I read the 5 love languages. And everybody who's in the personal development space has these, like, we have these aha moments, right? We read a book or we see a meme, and all of a sudden we're like, whoa, that's so true, right?
Yeah.
But it's only as true as the knowledge that we know in that time and space. And so, like, I remember reading taking the same quiz 10, 11, 12 years ago, and realizing and thinking at that point that affirmation was my love language, and really honing in on that and being like, oh, if I'm not getting enough affirmation, you know, then that person must not understand me enough. And I subscribed to that for a couple of years. And then it wasn't until I'd done a bunch of my own, because what that's implying is that something is missing out of you and you're looking for the other person to fill a void that you have, which is actually a very dangerous place to play, because then you're saying that you're not whole enough.
Scarcity.
And you're not good enough. And also then you have this weird puzzle piece that you're constantly trying to shove in the hole, which really isn't there. And so when I posted that post where it says, the love language that you have is the thing you were lacking when you were a child, that may be very, very true. But once you become an adult, you have kind of a full reign to decide what is important to you. And like the crazy thing is like, I think you're selfish if you only want or can align with one love language. I'm like, fuck that. I want all 5 of them.
Word.
Why can't I get affirmation, physical touch, quality time, gifts? Why can't I have them all?
Absolutely. Like we were saying earlier, like you were saying how Lisa's such a good gift giver. And that's the one thing that I always think about. I'm like, like mine is physical touch and then quality time, but I'm like, I love giving gifts. And like when somebody gets me a good gift, like I feel loved. I feel like, wow, they really understand me. Like, so it is an interesting point that you bring up.
I also think it's like it can ebb and flow. Like what I need today is not what I need tomorrow. So I'm not like, Neil, buy me presents. But like, I think about like people are like, I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert, and I'm like, I'm both. You got to ask which day it is. So in the same way, like I get excited, and I think part of why you felt affirmed by the gift is how much I was excited to give it to you.
Right.
I gave him his Christmas present early.
You did? Oh my God, can you tell me?
Yeah. So Neil was talking about, first, can I talk about your birthday present? So Neil's birthday, Neil and I got quarantined together, and which accelerated our relationship by being locked in a very small apartment for 9 weeks together. And
I saw Neil improving his dance skills, though. I remember him telling me he was going there, and then I saw him tearing it up. I was like, oh, shit. Okay.
We actually had a great adventure in that time. But it was his birthday, and I knew he was in Asheville. We were because he had to quarantine because he had been, they didn't really know, like exposed to coronavirus. We had just been together. So I was like, just come here. And it was his birthday, and I was like, what are we going to do? So Neil had always talked about dark retreats, which are like where you stay in a cave for 5 days. So I found one and bought it for him. But more importantly, that morning I got all his friends to send me happy birthday videos, and I made him a video and I played it for him in the morning. And I think that probably like it's not the act of giving the gift, it's the fact that I thought about him.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That like thoughtful, like you want to fill them up. You want to show them how much, like almost like what will make them happy in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah, so I bought him coaching for Christmas, and I had to. They started sending me the like confirmations, and I was like, it's not for me. So
not just only coaching; it's coaching with Jesse Itzler.
What? Are you fucking kidding me?
So I've been excited about it, and I'm a fan
Holy shit.
Sarah Blakely, and she posted about it, and I was at a stoplight and I bought it. I was like,
I love you. Holy shit.
But also, like, in that, Neil is letting me shine in something I'm good at, because I'm good at, like, you'll say something, Jen, and in a year I'll give it to you, because it's one of my...
You're so thoughtful. Yeah.
Well, thank you, and I have a strong memory.
So beautiful. I love you guys so much. I feel like I'm with you. I was there a few weeks ago for Thanksgiving, but this is awesome. Oh my God. Amazing. Sorry.
Oh, somebody asked, we met at UPW Miami, November 2019.
The best event so far, in my opinion.
Fun.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my God, the energy there was, I like felt like I was reborn there. I got myself back after like 20 years.
It was so fun.
Yeah, so beautiful. So I want to ask you, in like a word, what attracted you most to Neil? And Neil, what attracted you most to Lisa?
You go first.
I go first.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not one word. It's a phrase. Is that Lisa meets me where I need to be met, which I think is probably like you know us well enough, and have said it even during this conversation. We are both very fierce personalities, and it can, and I'm sure anybody listening to this, or even yourself, like we've been in relationships where it's like the other person feels like they're overwhelming, right? And it can be overwhelming good, it could be overwhelming bad, and Lisa meets me where I need to be met.
Yeah, girl. And Lisa, what attracts you most to Neil?
When we this summer went to the beach with my parents, and my mom said to Neil, I'm glad that she met somebody who plays as big as she does. And that I find very attractive, is that I always felt like I was trying to play myself down for men. And I don't feel like I ever have to, even when we've had instances where I have really been achieving a lot, I've been like, oh, should I like not do it, because he'll feel, and he's just so encouraging of me.
Beautiful. That is so beautiful. That's like my favorite part so far. It's just like, because I feel as females sometimes like it's that weird, like I think it's a female thing. I don't want to like say it is, but like where we feel like sometimes we have to play down like who we are, like what we've accomplished. It's like you don't want to be like that big shot or whatever it is, or it's like it's a hard thing to do.
Right.
Yeah.
But to have that support and that man that kind of he's like, oh yeah, let's up this up. Let's go all the way with this.
I just want to see her kick ass all the time, like every day, all day, every day. Like I just want to see her kick ass.
Absolutely, and I know that's true.
Yeah, like, and I'm like, I want to stay up late and do this work, or I'm always like trying to do some crazy thing. Last night I was like, I'm gonna teach this class. I want you to come help. Like he was on it with me. He encourages my career, which I always think in past relationships, my career has gotten in the way because I'm so ambitious.
What do you like, Neil, for like, in your opinion, like what is it about? Like, how do you show up for her in that way to make her feel so supported and like encourage her? Like it's obvious that you do it, but like, is there something in you that like you see it and you're like, you know what? I'm going to like take the extra time to just like support her in this, or show her that it's okay to fully show up in the highest version of herself? Or
I think it's like, this sounds probably a little cliche, but I feel like it takes one to know one. Right. And it's like, and here's this crazy thing where it's like, sometimes we attract people, that we bring in to our relationships. And sometimes we're not in a healthy place, and then we're bringing in unhealthy things. And, I really feel like for years I was a masochist, and in my practices of life, but it served me well at that point. And so I've done a lot of business things. I've got a lot of life experience. I've got a lot of things that I failed at. But because of that, I got so much experience, right? And it's like, it takes one to know one. And like, Lisa's like this perfect storm, and if the only thing that I can do to support her is throw a little bit of more wind into the storm and have it kind of get bigger and better and achieve more, then I'm going to blow on it as much as I fucking can. Right?
Boom.
Like let's fucking do it.
Beautiful.
It's because the other version of that is which is crazy, is that men, will often wonder, and this is from my men's groups, think they want to be the the head of the household. They think they want to be at the head of the table, and they think that they want to be in charge. And then they get it, and then they realize that's not what they want at all. And then they are not able all the time to take responsibility and ownership for the situation that they created.
Beautiful. Absolutely. And, you know, I don't want to assume that this is the biggest strength of your relationship. So I'm going to ask you, what do you feel like is the biggest strength in your relationship? You guys are so cute that you just looked at each other to be like, I don't know, guys.
I've got two. I'd say the first one is that Lisa holds me to a higher level of accountability than I've ever experienced in a personal relationship.
Beautiful.
In that, if I said I was going to do something, then I should do it. And knowing that when she says it, that is always coming from a good place and not a place of trauma, is a very weird, annoying, hard, frustrating, positive feeling.
Beautiful.
Right. And I'm a firm believer that men are supposed to be in a little bit of discomfort. And she has, like in my work, they say, if a man is getting ready to go out into the world and do battle every single day, why wouldn't he want his partner to find chinks in his armor before he goes outside? Mm. And she does that for me constantly. The second one is just her ability to hold space for me, because I've had this crazy, sordid, awesome, masochist lifestyle for my whole life. I bring with me a lot of that story. And
what is masochist? I'm sorry. I just like
someone who enjoys pain.
Oh gosh. Okay. Got it.
Right. So, and I say it like in gist of like, rather than having a traditional family for years, I insisted on being a hustler, grinder, entrepreneur, working 18-hour days. And I did it for years, so much so that, years of my life, I can't even remember most of them because I was on the road all the time.
Like occasionally we overcome that Neil feels discomfort in a very healthy relationship.
Right.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So sometimes, like, to the point of like earlier in his life, Neil invited in things that were very uncomfortable, that at times he is in discomfort by how healthy our relationship is.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm very open about that. It's like, here's the thing that I think a lot of people are misrepresenting when they're in these type of, like, even the communities that we're in, right? We have people who have actively decided that they're going to heal, and they're in various stages of healing something. And we have this, I think, dream that you're going to be walking down the street and meet the perfect partner, and it's just going to click and all the pieces are going to fall into the puzzle, and it's going to be this thing. And it's actually, like, I would say one of the things that's amazing about our relationship is that it's super messy. Like, it's super, super messy. And, having to realize that that's okay to be messy is completely different than what everyone thinks about a relationship should be. And if you come from a family or a lifestyle or previous relationships, like, I say it actively, at least all the time, I'm like, it is very uncomfortable for me sometimes how healthy our relationship is.
That makes me so happy. I know it sounds like I shouldn't be happy you're saying that, but
it makes you happy because it's honest.
Yeah.
And I think it's partially because I hold a standard of the relationship being healthy.
Beautiful. That is huge. That is huge.
We're not going down this path, so we'll get messy. We'll get really messy. But like, one of the most impactful things in my life is deciding that I think everything, like expecting things to break. So I never expected him to be perfect, and I never expected us to be perfect. So like, I'm not expecting a Hallmark Christmas movie. So when it doesn't happen, it's fine.
However,
I mean, but
I wish you could show everybody outside what you guys are looking at, because that is like, perfect place.
I know. There's like 2.5 feet of snow, and I'm like, but it's like delightfully messy. Also, like, it's two very large personalities in one. But in a way that, like, because if I was like, I expected us to always get along, it would feel hard. But if we're like, it's two personalities under one house, like, when it's not perfect, it feels okay. And also, like I never thought that this would be perfect.
Mm-hmm. And it's also like the state of the world right now. I don't want to bring that into it, but it's like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm sure you guys both had to maybe pivot a little bit in your businesses. I mean, that's part of it too. I mean, you're navigating a lot of shit.
Yeah, and then I'm going to say what I think the best part of a relationship is. But one of the key things I attribute to Neil is that he was there. My entire business fell apart in March. Like, they said, you have to close. And I didn't have him tell me what to do. He just provided stability for my decisions. And like laying on the floor and crying, or like being like, I don't know what to do, or like, I'm going to teach online and my laptop broke. And so that is so important to me, that when that happened, he just was like steady and like, let's take a walk. Let's take another walk, because it's the only thing we do right now.
Beautiful.
But to me, the best part of our relationship is we allow the person to be as big and, I don't use the word small, human as they want, because we both play on these big stages and like speak and teach and coach. And then like there's this delightful space in our home for the humanity of it, for me to be like dorky and weird, and for Neil to like love cooking, and for us to like play games together, that like for as big as we play, there's a humanity that I think we both give space for.
Beautiful. And that leads into my next question is like, for two busy, ambitious people, what do you guys do for fun?
So dorky.
We start businesses.
Oh, really, guys?
I mean, I mean, we'll talk about other stuff, but there's a funny thing where we will be doing something, and one of us will like, I love to cook, and like I'll be sitting there cooking something. I'd be like, you know what? When I get older, I want to open up a restaurant. And you know what type of like, it's literally like, maybe we can start a business doing the thing that we love, or this other thing that we do for fun, this passion project piece of it.
We read Harvard Business Review and talk about it. It's so lame.
It's so hot. I love you guys.
I think, one of the things that's been amazing is we, especially with this year, we do talk about what we want to do when things are a little bit more open in the world. I think that's important. We insist upon having one date night a week, an actual date night.
Tomorrow.
Yay!
And so like it changes and alternates, and we take turns planning it for each other. So I think last week we went to Manhattan and did a night of Christmas holiday decorations.
Just missed you.
I know, I'm so sad, but I'll see you guys soon.
and then like tomorrow night, there's a DJ that Lisa knows that's having a dance party night. So we're gonna
I set up party lights, and then we have a dance party by the Christmas tree.
Showstoppers.
Neil and I take a walk together every morning. So I get up before Neil, because I get up very early in the morning because I like to read.
I remember.
And I make coffee, and then I wake him up and we like read together. We're typically both reading something related to business, and then we take a walk together every day.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And what's some things that you feel that are like keep the relationship going?
The date night.
Okay.
I think that I try to listen to what he is saying, what he's interested in, and like keep that special. I am not necessarily an advocate for like there being one standard of like sexy or beautiful or whatever, but like I hear him say things that I like do or wear, and I try to do it. And it's also like we have a pretty silly relationship.
Right. I mean, I think it's like, I look at a lot of things in life in general as like one of the biggest challenges that we create oftentimes in these circumstances is we either push two things together for too long or we keep them apart for too long. And what I think is that like we're supposed to have this accordion style of life. And I think that one of the things that we do exceptionally well that really keeps us going, especially even this year, is that like push and pull of coming together and going apart and coming together and going apart. And like, you know, we live in this amazing home and one of us might be upstairs, the other one might be downstairs for 6 or 7 hours straight.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, but then finding time to have that morning time together every day and that reconnecting, you know, but then also letting go at the same time. I think it's probably one of the most, you know, counterintuitive things that people do is like you have to look forward to letting go of the person, and you have to like letting just so you can come back together.
Yeah, like Neil.
I love that.
Yeah, Neil recently. We have like, I think as two people who are extremely independent. I lived by myself for maybe 12 years in like beautiful like lady apartments full of lady things for a long time. That one, we went from like dating in two places to like, this is the only person you're going to see and you can't go out for 9 weeks. And we did exceptionally well.
We got to know each other.
Beautiful.
There's videos of Neil in my closet on the phone because Neil's voice will carry like a mile. And I was like, stop talking. And, but it was really fun. Like we would take walks, but one of us would always want to walk. And like, but even now, like Neil went to a men's outdoor bonfire and he was like, this is what I'm doing. I was like, bye. And I just had this like, I also really love to be alone. So, and when this is over, when what's happening right now is over, like I am going to run to a beach with a bunch of women so fast. But he would just encourage that. And then I was so excited to come home.
And I think what we oftentimes forget in relationships is the reason why we do the reason why we want to do things versus what we're actually doing. And what I mean by that is I, for example, do not really like TV. I don't watch shows. I don't find it as a way to unwind. I'm not attracted to it at all. And Lisa multiple times will be like, come watch TV with me. And like many other men, I don't mind being honest, being like, fine, if you want me to watch TV with you, let's watch your rom-com, you know, like.
Oh, don't lie. You know you love those rom-coms.
Right. And well, I say this because like the difference is though is that when I hosted my one of my men's retreats here, right, and bring men out here, and we're outside and we're doing all these manly, masculine things, and we're doing yoga and meditation and climbing in the stream and all these crazy things around a bonfire for a whole weekend. When I sent the men back to their hotels for the night, I came inside, and after doing all this like masculine stuff, I was like, can we watch a movie? Can we watch a movie? Like, but it's that balance, right? The polarity piece of it that we sometimes get lost in.
Yeah. So I think it's just like I think that this year has been such a good test because this is not like what was happening from December when we like started dating until March was this like, we would meet on the weekend, we'd be in some city, we'd go do stuff, we'd go back to our lives. I'd be like the boss babe, like doing my thing. And then like, I really feel like I got put on my knees by the beginning of this and finding somebody that supported me, but also like we learned how to deal with that situation. So I'm like, the rest of this is going to be easy. That was hard.
Absolutely. Wow. That's huge. And Neil, I have a off the wall question. Because, like, I know you light a fire every morning and you lit a fire in the rain on Thanksgiving, but like I saw today you lit a fire in the snow. How do you do that?
Well,
I have an answer.
There are many ways, but I think I've become a big subscriber in how important daily rituals are to you.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing is that something as simple as starting a fire every day, and there's the occasional day where I'm on a phone call and I don't get to do it or something like that. I mean, I'm far from perfect. But for the most part, as often as possible, it becomes a way to find presence, right? And it's like there's all these things that I think what people don't realize is that people will say these different things are that they love, like they love a thing, and what they don't realize in today's world, I think, is that that thing brings them presence, right? So starting a campfire, right? You're present because you're working with the flame and doing whatever, but the campfire brings you present. People say, I love jumping out of airplanes. Guess what? The level of presence that it brings you to, right? The level of awareness. Horseback riding. All these different things that people think they care about the thing brings presence into it. And what I've experienced with having a fire every day is it's a ritual that brings you immediate awareness and immediate presence for the day.
And the way that he starts it in the snow is kerosene.
I remember now.
My office faces where the fire pits are outside. We're very lucky to live in a place that has like a big stone fireplace. And speaking of, like, the thing that brings me present outside of my full-time job is that I teach dance. And so I'll be like getting ready to teach a belly dance class, and I'll be all like in my element, and I'll look out the window and he'll look at me and he'll have a can of kerosene and he'll go, and it's like, and I'm like, oh my God, be careful. And I'm like, but so it's also, it's present, it's intention.
I want to be a little extra present that morning.
White gap is what's happening.
So I wanted to dive in. Okay, we highlighted you guys. I think, I mean, I know and love you guys, and you're a huge inspiration for me, but I want to dive into a little bit individually on like what you guys are up to and what you're bringing into the world. So we'll start with you, Lisa. I know that you have like an amazing group, and your coaching and your dance. Can you tell me a little bit more about like the contributions that you've been giving? I see you everywhere. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. I have two main ways that I serve my communities. And both of them they're two different vehicles to make women feel empowered and help them contribute to the world. Because I believe when women have more power, things will change. So that's my mission. And I do it through two ways. And there are two things that I have a gift with. One is how to run a business. I have a corporate marketing background. I have an MBA, and I've started several businesses. So I help women run businesses. Right now, I'm teaching women how to use digital products to run a business online. I just did a big challenge with that, which was super fun. And number two is dance. I owned a dance studio for 14 years. Now I own a digital dance platform. And to me, they're so different, but there's no difference, because both of them are like helping women step into themselves, whether it's owning their own business and becoming, building wealth, or moving their bodies, is that they empower themselves.
Beautiful. And can you tell me a little bit about like what got you into dance? Like I always love to hear like the end product of like what makes you successful, what makes you your heart, soar, but like what got you into that space?
Sure. I was raised by two amazing parents who were like, you can be whatever you want. You could be the president. You could be a lawyer. And when I was 6, I made a drawing, and it said, when I grow up, I want to be a bathing beauty. And they were like, found it really disappointing.
I love you.
And it's amazing. And I've always loved like dressing up, glitter, performing, scarves. Like there's pictures of me when I was little where I would just own everything my mother owned. And I would be like, and I would boss my sister and my cousin's around to make dance performances. And then I danced my whole life, but I'm curvy, and it was hard. Like, there was also a part of it that was like, I danced for the NBA, I danced professionally, and there was part of me that they were always like, be smaller. And then I started belly dancing, and it allowed me to feel good about myself, which ultimately allowed me to run my businesses better.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Very short and sweet, but that's how I got
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's gorgeous. And how could we find you? What are you working on? What are some of the things that people could reach out and be a part of?
Sure. So everything's under Lisa Zahiya, Zahiya, and on any of my social media, you can find both businesses. But for dance, tomorrow at 9:30 a.m., I'm teaching a free hip hop class, and I'm teaching a free belly dance class Tuesday night, just as some gifts at the end of the year. For business, I'm starting a course called Make More Online, which is how to take your business digital, because I went from March being a disaster to having a dance business online that has eclipsed my old business financially. So
gorgeous. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jen.
Good job.
And Neil!
Yes.
Tell me, brother. Where do we even start?
How do I even tell a story beyond this?
I'm just saying. I was like, Neil. No, I'm just kidding.
Good job. So some of this, but I'll make it short. I'm a military veteran. I was in the Marines for a bunch of years. I came out and got lucky and did a bunch of crazy corporate things at big corporate companies, Morgan Stanley, NBC, etc. And then jumped into the startup world. And like I said, I would, for a very long time, I'd rather work an 18-hour day than 6 or 7 days a week than do anything else.
Oh.
And so by time, right, I've spent more years doing business than most people my age, right? Just because I was putting in 80, 90-hour weeks consistently for years. And so I was able to build businesses, sell businesses, take businesses to certain stages, and have all of these great skills and gifts, but then figured out that I was just miserable.
Okay.
And so it really has sent me into this space, and a lot with Lisa's help now, I coach men on how to show up as better men. And I do that through men's retreats. I now have an online program that's a mix of online and a mix of in-person retreats, where we take men for an entire weekend and give them an opportunity to really deal with their feelings of lacking, inadequacies, purpose. Because the reality is that so many men grow up without a model or a framework these days. At some point, a woman or their partner in their life is going to wonder, why aren't they, quote unquote, manning up? And the reality is that they haven't had enough examples of it in today's new society to be able to do that. So I've heard stories of men being molested, some of the deepest and darkest things possible. And what I've figured out is that one common denominator for veteran suicide, mental health awareness, and all these other trials and tribulations that men go through is the only thing lacking from that is having the right support system. And so through my coaching and through my men's groups, we build a support system so that men can, in confidence, when they're struggling, reach out to a safe place where they can say, hey, brother, I'm having a shitty day, and my wife, children, job, business partner, or whatever doesn't understand this. Let's talk. And as somebody who's actively involved in the conversation of women's empowerment because of my partner and because of my daughters, the way for men to protect and honor women is to educate the men who are doing shitty things. Okay. And so that's become kind of my mission.
Beautiful. Can you tell me a little bit about Press Forward?
Yes. So thank you for bringing that one up. So am I wearing a Press Forward hat? I am.
I'm getting that one.
I just wanted a cheaper way to get fashionable clothes. No, I'm only kidding. So about 4 or 5 years ago, I was going through all this different branding work and storytelling work, and I ended up working with one of the biggest brand agencies on the planet. And I went through their branding exercise, and they take you to this, like, this is like a thing that like Nike does, Peloton does. They take you through this rigorous surveys and interviews, and like at the end of it, it feels like you're in Inquisition, like you're testifying for something. And at the end of it, the brand comes back to you and goes, here's your 1 or 2 word brand that is everything of your life encapsulated into this thing. Right? It's how Nike and Peloton and Uber and all these things come up with this thing. And so I go through this very, very torturous, amazing interview process, and they go, press forward.
Beautiful. Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that.
And then I was so busy doing other things in big, big businesses, I shelved the whole thing and put it away.
Till right now.
Till this year. And this whole concept of it's a positive brand that I'm dusting off the cobwebs of, and it's a brand for each of us, right? That it's meant to be a brand for all of us to continue to move forward. And so I've released the early edition of, currently we're doing sweatshirts, hats, and t-shirts. And for every single product, every time somebody buys a product, I donate a portion of the proceeds to Veterans in Transition, men's mental health, and men in crisis programs. And it's a positive brand that every time someone spends some coin on it, it serves 2 purposes. So why wouldn't you do that versus spending $20 for a sweatshirt in a store that you don't know where that money goes to?
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. And I just had a question come up because, like, I just want to thank you for all you are and all you've done. And, you know, Lisa, the same with you. And I know how much heart you put into your business and like the contributions that you're giving, you know, behind the scenes. And, you know, people don't always understand like your why or like why you're doing this. My question that came up just asking you guys this is like, how does this living in your purpose and like contributing in this way? Because you both, I mean, Neil, you have your men's group. Lisa, you have your women's group. You have your women's clients. Like, how does that support you guys both in like coming together as a couple, in living in your purpose and contribution?
I think for me, it's so funny. Right before this, I had a cheers of, I met with all my clients and private coaching clients, helping them grow their businesses. And they each said what they did. And there was like a doctor, a physical therapist who helps women postpartum because we don't get any help there. Somebody who helps women through mystical experiences. And I was just like reminded of my why, which is that I want to elevate women and what we can do for each other because I see that as magic in the world. And that ties to me, like Neil gives to Veterans in Transition. I pay for books for girls going to college every year. And this year I'm committing to figuring out how to run a nonprofit so I could start funding girls to go to college. And how that ties to our relationship to me is 2 things. One is that I wouldn't be a good partner if I wasn't fulfilling my own mission, because I would know something is missing. And I know that when I'm crappy, it's because I'm not like taking care of my own heart. And 2 is Neil and I can see things differently, but he fully supports my mission. And I am very clear about what I stand for and I believe in. And even he's always supported me in standing up for that.
Good answer.
I love you guys.
Yeah, I champion that for sure. And I think, how do we support each other? I think what's interesting and comes up for me is we live in this world where everybody is seeking acceptance and everybody wants to be heard, right? And I think that's fine, and okay, but in a world where everybody is looking to merge and align race, creed, color, gender, preference, pronoun, all these different things, where the rubber meets the road, I think for Lisa and I, is that we can completely disagree. We can completely think differently about something. We can have a completely different view and lens to something, and it doesn't mean we don't care about each other any less. And I think that, like, there's so many people that I've heard over, especially the course of this year, people will be like, I can't stand my husband or my wife or my partner anymore. Their political views are so different than mine. And I'm like, what does that got to do with your relationship, though? You know, I think that's the piece for me that is amazing, that we can be completely have a completely different view on something, and it doesn't tarnish the relationship in any way, shape, or form.
But our ethics align.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what
so interesting. That's a great point that you bring up. Like, because like I've worked in politics and like I've had friends on both sides. And like at the end of the day, it's like it doesn't define like who you are. And I think it's a great point that you bring up, and like something that we could all like really take in. Like, because I always thought, like, to be honest with you, I'm like, I wonder if I could date somebody with like different political views of mine.
Yeah.
Because like that's hard.
But it's all
I have
all
friendships.
it, right?
Like, what's the difference, right?
Here's that question. Somebody asked, what are 1-2 things we don't see eye to eye on?
Oh, I don't know who this. Let me look on this. I don't see who it is.
Where to put your socks. I'm extremely neat. And Neil we don't see eye to eye on. No, I'm just kidding. I occasionally like but it's my need. It's my need. I'm trying to create certainty through cleaning, and I say, what's my outcome? I've talked to my coach about it, and we're letting go of it. No, what do we not see eye to eye on?
Great, Neil. Where do you put your socks, bro?
In the kitchen counter.
Wherever I leave them.
Come on. Oh my God, guys, I have a funny fucking story. All right, so remember when I came over for Thanksgiving and I had my boots up on the fire and the boot melted a little bit, and I left my shoes by the fire. So today I put them back on for the first time. And I was like, oh yeah. One of them is a little
what a good reminder. I would say I don't mind being super honest and very vulnerable in saying that something that Lisa and I do not see eye to eye on all the time is she comes from a background of very well defined framework and well defined process, and it is something that I find very valuable. And I come from a background of uncertainty, and just because of my military life and some of the other circumstances and situations I've been in my life, like, I'm very grateful, and it's very humbling to know that there was many times where I had zero framework and zero support, and I still made it. So we don't see eye to eye on the fact that we both have different. We're both on opposite sides of the wall. Sometimes that's the best way to say it, right? We're both on opposite. She's on on the side of framework and plan and outcome, and those are amazing things. And I am on the other side of the cliff, hanging off. With one hand hanging, like fuel on the flame, being like.
Don't you feel like it's like she shows up in a way that like she has the strengths like that you might need?
We're like the ultimate co-business owners, because he's like, let's take this risky business decision, and I'm like, well, we need to, like, I come from the business school background, like, we got to put this much in this and this much in this, and whatever's left over, then you can use that. but we definitely balance each other out. Wait, so what do we actually disagree on? Like sometimes almond milk. I love it. You hate it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I like oat milk.
This is
okay. I like both.
what else? Rom-coms.
Rom-coms.
You don't like them, Neil?
I love them.
What's your favorite?
I love every Netflix Christmas special. I'll watch them all. Like, because I kind of stopped working-ish tomorrow after I teach this dance class. Like, I'm like, get me on the couch, get me a gluten-free cookie, and I'm just gonna watch. They're all the same set. They all have
Girls, tell me which ones are good, because I swear to God, for months, ask any of my girlfriends, I would watch a rom-com to sleep every night. Like, who doesn't want to be
like
in love?
I still have, for being like left of left, liberal, this, that, I still have the like little princess girl inside me that's like, let's watch 18 of these. And then like when he was having his men's retreat, I watched the Sex and the City marathon. Like, but it's like, that's how I relax and I enjoy it. I can't think of anything we actually really disagree on.
No.
I was like, why can't we get a 9-foot Christmas tree? And he was like, 12 feet. This thing is huge.
I would say that there's an interesting thing where I think we both recognize that when one of us is like, part of the reason why we don't see eye to eye is because we both have learned very quickly when to let the other person drive. Like in the bigger purpose of the whole thing, Lisa was absolutely right. She was like, let's get a 9-foot Christmas tree. And I was like, no.
And I was like,
and she's like, all right. And we both do that in a way that is copacetic to not creating the circumstance to see eye. Like we agree, we don't need to see eye to eye on things, on a lot of things, right? Because our ethics are aligned, and those pieces are more important.
Absolutely. And I love that you state that. And like, it's a good point. And John just says here, it reminds me of when I would impersonate Ramon from The Proposal to tease my sisters.
Good choice, John.
That's amazing.
Don't worry about it.
So guys, we're just hitting the top of the hour. I just want to thank you so much for joining me on this journey. This has just been something that has been so dear to my heart, and especially to be able to kick it with you guys and highlight you and learn from you. And I definitely got a huge piece of the puzzle with the ethics, and as long as that's in line, it doesn't matter if you disagree. Obviously, you're going to disagree on some stuff.
A lot of stuff.
So is there anything else that you want to share from your heart? Oh, wait, Lisa, before we get into that, can you just give me a little bit of advice on so I'm obviously going to start doing all the exercises, the 7 weeks of calling in the one. And part of the beginning of the intro, they talk about how important it is to do it with people. And I do love to read books with people and have it kind of in a mastermind setting. Mm-hmm. I've only read up to chapter or week, what is this? Week 4? Mm-hmm. Is there any advice you could give me moving forward? I know the holidays are going to get busy. And
what I would say about that book is Calling in the One is actually pay attention and do the exercises, which I found them really helpful. It's how I ended up here. The most important thing that she says in that book to me was, and I take it a step further, 50% is not acceptable. So we all have this tendency to be like, oh, I met this guy or this girl and they have all this, but not this. And like Jen, you and I are friends. I would never take that from a friend. If you half the time called me and were like, you're an asshole, I'd be like, screw that person. So it is the same thing. You deserve 100%.
Love it. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
I can add one thing in there that comes up with me with a lot of the men in my men's program. And I think Tony Robbins may actually say this too, but it's don't fall in love with potential.
Mm.
Right? Like you can very much, and I suffered from this for a long time. I just recently heard somebody explain it as like when you meet somebody, right? There's this glob of clay that is not fully formed yet, no matter which stage of life you're in, right? Because we're all still evolving and learning and choosing to be a certain way. And if you look at this person and you see it as a piece of clay and you think that like, well, there's so much opportunity here if this, like the big thing is if, right? Like with Lisa, like there's never been a point where I've ever thought or felt if she'd only, right? It's like she just is, right? And I think that that's a big piece where like we live in this world where you can easily fall in love and look at a person and fall for the potential versus so if there's an if in your feelings, then the answer is just move on. No, it's move on.
I know 100% that this is the right person for me because I feel so clear that my life was amazing before Neil and beautiful. And if he was like, bye, I feel fully confident in myself. And I know he feels the same way, which means it's so good together.
All right. Last parting words for this beautiful Friday evening. Sonia, I have a group with Lorelai Mariano. It's What Women Really Want. If you'd like to join us in the journey, it's free. I can't wait to share with you guys. But Neil, I don't know how you feel about, public whatever, but can you kiss Lisa like you'd first met her?
I think Facebook might censor that.
No, we're not doing that.
Bring it. I know how much. Love you guys so much. Thank you so much.
We love you, Jen.
Guys.
We love you, Jen. Thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you. And I hope everybody enjoyed tonight. I hope you all have an amazing holiday. I'm going to have another couple on next week, so I hope you stay tuned. And we have a lot of fans here. I'm also going to post all the resources that everyone has to offer in the caption, so I hope that you join us. I love you all. Neil, Lisa, you know how much I love you. I hope you have an amazing night. And ciao for now.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas. We'll come back and visit soon.
You know what? I'm there. Just say the word.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, babe.